Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm recording a little bit early this week. It is only Wednesday because first thing tomorrow morning, I am leaving for Booktopia. Yay! It's finally here. In the Booktopia Facebook group, we've all been counting down the days. So excited to see everyone again and to meet all these amazing authors. If you're new to my channel, this is an annual event that my mother and I go to every year. It takes place in beautiful Manchester, Vermont. I will be eating at Up for Breakfast, my favorite breakfast restaurant anywhere. It's a book-filled weekend that brings together authors and readers. It's a really unique event because it's kind of an intimate setting. I think last year there were like maybe 75 to 80 readers, about 8 authors. There are 10 authors this year. And while you do get some short readings from the authors, though that's kind of new, they didn't used to do that. For the most part, this is not like your typical author event because you're together all weekend. So you're eating meals with the authors, you're getting to know them, playing book trivia, which is a lot of fun after Friday night dinner. It's a whole lot of fun. And a lot of the same people go back every year like we do. So you get to know people. But new people are always welcome. If you're in the area and can get to Manchester, Vermont this weekend, the event begins Friday morning. It runs all day Friday and Saturday. The extra special event, which I'll talk about in a minute, is on Sunday. And there are still tickets available. You can show up day of and attend. So if you're in the area, I'd highly recommend you do this because it's just so much fun. And yeah, so tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, I am going to try to get out of here as early as I can. I am not good with early mornings. This whole weekend is like a marathon for me. It's like running a marathon is for a normal person. It requires a lot of energy and stamina, which are in short supply with me. So yeah, so this is a challenge, but I'm up for it. I've managed to do it 7 other years. This is our 8th year. So I'm gonna get out of here as early as I can manage in the morning, drive to my mom's house in Connecticut, have lunch and take a nice nap, and then drive both of us up to Vermont. So we'll be there by tomorrow evening. And I'm going to bring you along. I'm going to make a vlog the whole weekend so that afterwards you can see what it was all like. And in the meantime, you can check out my 2024 Booktopia vlog. So what have I been reading? Well, this theme continues. I've been reading for Booktopia. Each of the authors typically has a recent release. There are a couple on the list this week whose books aren't out yet, which was a little unusual. For many of them, if you want to, you can read the books ahead of time. But you don't have to. Again, you can show up day of cold, and that's fine. You'll have a great time. So I have been reading, I got the ARC on my Kindle of Animal Instinct by Amy Sheeran. This is a novel about a woman who is experiencing an enormous change in her life at a time when society is in an upheaval. So she is going through a divorce. She's trying to make it amicable, but her husband's not real cooperative in that respect. They have 3 kids, and this is all new for her. And it happens at the beginning of 2020. So pandemic world, everything is crazy, she moves out on her own just as, everyone, lockdown starts and people have to be isolated and lonely. And yeah, so she's going through this all at once. She's got a great relationship with her kids, and she and her husband are sharing custody, so the kids go back and forth from their old apartment to her new, smaller apartment. She's got a job in IT, making apps, so she can still do that from home like everybody was in 2020. But her marriage, her husband was very overbearing. And so her marriage was all about him. And her identity was fully wrapped up in being a wife and mother. And of course, she's still a very dedicated, loving mother, but she's no longer his wife. And so it's all about her trying to figure out, who is she outside of this marriage she's been in since college. So she's never lived on her own before. She has never really dated other than, when they first met. And she's trying to figure out who she is. The novel is very much an awakening, and it has a lot of emotional depth to it. But it's also about her sexual awakening. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. One of our, I laughed, I was looking through the Goodreads reviews, and many of them at this point, because the book's new, are from people I know from Booktopia. And one of my friends said, I always say I'm not a prude, but, and she said, after reading this book, maybe I am a prude. So it is quite graphic sexually. That doesn't really bother me, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. So just be forewarned that that is a part of the novel, but it's only one part. And it's an integral part, because her learning about her sexuality is a part of learning who she is and what she wants out of life. And it's a part of her healing journey as well. And she has a lot of healing to do. Her husband really hasn't treated her well. He wasn't physically abusive or anything, and she keeps telling herself that, but he didn't really give her the kind of attention that anyone deserves. He treated her as his maid and his mother, not like his wife. And so she's got a lot to learn about herself. I have really enjoyed this book. One telling aspect is that I've been staying up much too late reading it. I keep trying. This week I've been trying to go to bed earlier to get ready for Booktopia, because I will have to wake earlier there than I normally do. And tomorrow morning to get on the road as well. But it's not going so well because I get so pulled into this story and this character. And I end up reading too late. So I did go to bed early last night, but then I read too long again. So I'm at 95% in the ebook, and it absolutely killed me not to finish reading it last night, but I knew I needed to get some sleep. So I'm looking forward to reading the end, although from what I read in the last part last night, I can see how things are going to wrap up. It's a novel about healing. It's a novel about moving forward. It's very much a novel for women about identity, and I've really been enjoying it. I'm very interested to hear from the author this weekend. So on audio, I've been listening to a Booktopia selection that I actually bought the print copy of originally, but I could see that I wasn't going to have time to read all my Booktopia books. So I got this on audio. It was available immediately through Libby, which was great. Julia Alvarez is the special guest on Sunday. That is a much larger event, open to the public, held in an auditorium in town. I just can't go because it's Sunday afternoon. I need to nap in the afternoons. And on Sunday, I've got about 7.5 hours of driving to do, which is a lot for me, even with a nap in between. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss hearing her on Sunday. But I had heard a lot of good things about the novel, The Cemetery of Untold Stories, and I'm enjoying it on audio. I wasn't so sure at first because it does have some magical realism in it, which I could tell just from the premise. And me and magical realism don't always get along well. But it depends on what it is and how it's done. I am enjoying this so far. At the center of it is an author named Alma Cruz, who she's been a very successful author. As the book opens, she's living in Vermont. She is Dominican by birth, but has lived in the U.S. for quite some time. She's one of these authors who had a new book out every year. In spite of all her success, she has boxes and boxes full of unfinished manuscripts. And those stories and those characters kind of haunt her. She hates to give up on them. But with each one, she got to a point where she just couldn't continue the story. So she inherits some land back in Dominican Republic, and she moves back there and decides to turn that land into a cemetery for untold stories, where she literally buries her manuscripts, and she partners with a very vibrant artist in the area who agrees to make relevant headstone type sculptures for each of the graves. But the thing is, these stories and these characters don't want to stay buried. And they begin talking. There's the magical realism part. To her, to each other, and especially to the woman that she hires as a groundskeeper, Philomena, a local woman who herself has had a very tragic life. So in the novel, we learn about Alma's life, we learn a lot about Philomena's life, but then as these stories and characters begin talking to Philomena, we get each of their stories. One of them is Bienvenida. She was a wife of El Jefe, the dictator who ruled Dominican Republic until the 1960s. And it's her story from her childhood through how she ended up marrying such a barbaric man to eventually her exile. So Bienvenida is telling her story to Philomena. And I was interested to find out. This has made me go down a little bit of a rabbit hole online, learning more about Dominican Republic, about its history, about El Jefe. And Bienvenida was indeed one of his wives who was kind of erased from history. Not a lot is known about her because she was exiled. Alma may have been unable to finish her story, but Bienvenida herself wants to. I'm enjoying this so far. Another of the characters is a Dominican doctor named Manuel Cruz, who also eventually ends up in the United States. And I'm just at the beginning of his story. So it's interesting. I think I'm more than halfway now in the audio. I'll definitely finish it this week, if not at home, then in the car. In spite of my issues sometimes with magical realism, I'm enjoying it. It is excellent storytelling with all kinds of things woven in, mythology, history, families. So I'm enjoying it. So I've been going back and forth over what to read next because, like I said, I'm at 95% of Animal Instinct. I'm almost finished with it. I'll finish it at nap time today. So what to read next? And there are two books that I'd like to read in May, and I was kind of waffling on what to read. So I definitely want to read Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. This has been on my shelf for a long time. My mom loved it. I know I want to read it. And Melinda at A Web of Stories is doing a group read of it. Well, she invited anyone to join in who wanted to on her year of classics in April and May. So I would really like to read this in May. It's over 400 pages. So the other thing that's not really even back of my mind, but front of my mind. As soon as Booktopia is over, I'm going to start focusing on getting ready for Big Book Summer. Yes, it is coming up. I'll talk more about it next week on my channel. It begins this year. It always begins at the beginning of Memorial Day weekend. So this year, that's May 23rd. So get your big books ready. A big book is any book of 400 or more pages, and you've got all summer to read it. So this is over 400 pages. But also, there's one more Booktopia book that I bought that I haven't gotten to yet. Rooms for Vanishing by Stuart Nadler. These Invisaligns are still driving me crazy. And I've got a new set in, so I'm lisping a little bit. Sorry about that. Anyway, really want to read this. It sounds really intriguing and right up my alley. I leave tomorrow morning. I know I won't finish it in time for Booktopia. And ironically, as a reading event, as a book event, there won't be much time for reading this weekend. This is also over 400 pages, but I think I am going to start it. As a contemporary novel and a hardcover with big print, I think I will probably finish this quicker than Madame Bovary. And I may save Madame Bovary for the end of the month and start it for Big Book Summer. So that's my plan. I think I'm going to start this today. And then that way I'll at least have read a little bit when I hear what the author has to say. So that's what I'm reading this week. I would love to hear what you are reading. Please let me know in the comments down below. And if you are going to Booktopia, please let me know because I would love to meet in person.